Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for joining this, which I believe is a very, very powerful tool. I believe this Crown Diamond Global Impact might be one of the most impactful tool that we've introduced since we started Business with Max International. And this is what's wonderful, about evolution, especially when we face adversity and challenges. That's when we need to really dig in and kind of lock arms and get together and find ways to overcome all the obstacles that we come across. Which in this case, we can't travel like we used to visit you every year, but we can certainly create an environment where you can just stop in. The question is to train people now to click a link instead of driving to a location for an event. And sometimes I find I even do a little bit more challenging for some people, so for people to click a link than actually driving to an event, just because again, it's a new habit. And human beings, we creature of habits, and we tend to replicate and do the things that we're used to do. My name is Chris. I'm a Crown Diamond Max International, and maybe I should put my microphone right in front of me here. It was a little bit distracting with everything going on. So if you happen to be on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you. Appreciate your feedback. And again, as you know, these calls are recorded, and also we do transport these calls into a channel called Crown Diamond CD Global Impact. If you search that on YouTube, you will be able to find it. Make sure you subscribe to it so that way you get notified if you miss it, or if you can't go to Facebook or whatever the situation may be, and we try to make that very convenient. Also, I just added a link in the group for you to connect to a calendar. Not all the details are there yet, but as we keep moving forward, we'll be adding more data, more information to that calendar. Right now, as you know, at 1 o'clock, there's something every day from Monday to Saturday. Okay, this is going weekly for the 90-day period, and also 2 or 3 times a week we're going to be having the virtual presentations that you some of you have been seeing, and I think it's really doing well. I'm seeing a lot of activities, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. And this is the kind of environment that can really help you build your business. Just before I start with day 9 here, understand that when you are able to show that there's a support system in helping you build your business, this is a major selling feature. And you will find that people that might have been on the fence for a long period of time may turn around and reconsider maybe the hesitation to want to get started because of the support system that they can just plug in into. And that is something that I noticed. All the seven figure in this industry, that's what they do. That's what they rely on, right? It's not about them anymore. It's not people dependent, but system dependent. And that's why I wanted to spend a few minutes here just to kind of initiate the conversation with the importance of the support system, because it can help you sell the opportunity, because they know they're not alone in doing this. Now, as I mentioned, the topic is day 9, and looking at my notes here, what the purpose of this session today is about focusing 100%. And one of the things that Eric talked about yesterday is focused 100% of your effort into this opportunity. One of the things that I can recognize working with associates over the years is people are very distracted by everything that's going on. And they tend to always look around and see what's going on here, what's going on there, instead of sometimes putting the blinders. We know there's things going on. We're aware of this, but I am focused. I am focused. And what I found is some of the most successful network marketers, at one point in their time, they've had challenges, they've had issues, and these issues will get resolved. I assure you, it will get resolved. But while the problem is there, you don't want to get on a back seat waiting for the problem to be resolved, but you want to stay the course and moving forward in direction that you want to, in line to your goals, right? In line to your dreams and your goals. So what he meant here is put 100% productivity. For example, let's say you're doing this business on a part-time basis. You got a family, you got a job, you got some activities, you have to commute to work, back and forth, whatever the situation may be. I'm not saying that you got to have 100% and neglect everything else. That is not what I'm saying. If let's say you're committed, let's say I don't know, 24 hours in the week to concentrate in building your business. What I'm saying is focus 100% on that 24 hours spread out throughout the week. Or it could be 10 hours, it could be 12 hours. You obviously know what I'm talking about. This is your schedule. You decide that. But put 100% effort in line to the commitment that you've made to yourself and wanted to do the activities in building this business. And what's really, really important here is you need to focus on money making activities. A lot of people think that they build their businesses. I know a lot of people are working really hard, but if you look at the activities that you do, if you do an inventories on the things that you do on a daily basis, are they money making activities? Or is there a lot of time spent in line in building your Max business, but they're not money making activities? For example, you get into long, long, long conversation with one associate, and you know that there's so many things that you need to do, and there's ways that you can decide the time that you want to have those lengthy conversations. What I'm saying is that for the next 24 hours, just one day, pick one day and focus 100% effort in doing your business and the time that you allow yourself in doing your business. Pick one day. Pick one day. You might be surprised what may come out of that. Okay, so that was the first point that he talked about. Again, these are 15 minutes segments, 15, 20-minute segments. So I'm going a little fast, but I think there's a lot of common sense to all of this. Number two is, for some reason, there are some people, and there's good reasons for this, and we'll cover that in a minute, where some people are going to say, you're coming back to them, you talked to them about the opportunity before, and they turn around and says, you know what? I'm okay to talk with you as long as it's not about your business. Have you ever had anybody do that? If that's the case, just put a comment. Just let me know. Again, as I read this, I'll be able to kind of follow up and maybe even give you some feedback if you had some challenges. But let me give you some clues. Let me give you some ideas on how I would cover that. If someone says, "Listen, don't talk to me about the business right now," what I recommend is still talk to them, but don't talk to them necessarily about respect their wishes, right? Don't talk to them about the business per se, and acknowledge it. For example, if let's say you're talking to Mary, you're talking to John, and says, "Listen, Mary, I completely respect that. I understand that at this point, you may not be open to the opportunity. And listen, my relationship with you is way more important than this opportunity. It is an important opportunity. I saw something that maybe could be of interest to you, but I also want to respect the fact that you're not interested. But my relationship with you matters more." So what I mean by that is leave the business aside for a moment. And I'm not saying you need to talk for a long, long, long time, but have a conversation in line of maintaining that relationship with that person that you care about. And again, it depends on how long you know that person. You know what I'm talking about, right? So don't avoid the conversation where if they're not interested in the business, just say, "Well, okay," and then walk away. What you're doing is you're creating a really cold front with that person. And every time they see you, they'll change direction. They'll be uncomfortable talking to you and they'll try to avoid you. They won't pick up your calls. And one thing that you can do, and that's the step three that he talked about, is repair on the damages that might have been occurred in this relationship. Because let's face it, a lot of us, I remember when I started this business, I did not have the experience that I have today. I was very motivated, I was hungry, and I was very driven in building my business. And that is not necessarily the real me. That was the me that was, that was driven to success. And sometimes we kind of lose track. Max Moning, John, thank you for joining us. We lose track of the humanity aspect of doing this business. So one thing that you can say, as I stated earlier, is this: Mary or John, I very much want to apologize on the way I've approached this business with you. I'm new at this. I'm telling you, I really believe that there's a huge business opportunity here. It's massive, it's worldwide, but my lack of experience kind of sabotaged my approach with you. And I wanted to apologize with this. And here's what happens when you acknowledge that. You will find that often people may turn around, and that wall that they build when they see you is going to start coming down. And you're kind of telling them it's okay to say no. And you give them permission to say no. And right away people will be, it's like you give them permission to relax around you. And it's crazy how things could turn around. But again, don't bring up the business. Don't use that as an excuse to turn around and get back into the business. Acknowledge that and repair that relationship. Really, really, really important. That is the difference between an amateur that's building this business and a professional that are building this business. Okay. So one of the things that's also very important in line of what I'm saying is right now we are in a 90-day run. And you know that um, you really need to focus your attention. And Eric talks about, remember you're in the North Pole. You know the expression, North Pole is it's very far, it's very cold. Nobody goes there, and you go there all by yourself because you don't want to be disturbed, right? What he means by that is you want to create an environment for the next 90 days that could affect the rest of your life. In fact, if I go back when I started Max 15, close to 15 years ago, and it'll be 15 years in February or so. Um, where are we now? We're John. Yeah. I think February 3rd or so will be about 15 years. And I remember um, I was in a mode of desperation because I'm a network marketer and I started from scratch. And I think I talked about this in a previous call. And for the next for 60 days, now I never stopped, but for 60 days, it was not 90, it was 60. And I focused, I'm not kidding, 18 hours a day. Any daylight space where people were up, I would work. And then when I was done, because I lived in East Coast, I would continue. I would focus on the West Coast because there's an extra 3 hours there. That's where the 18 hours would fall into play on how much time I could spend. Right, I would figure out the time zone and so forth. But the point here is that I really, really concentrate. And these 2 months of very intense, concentrated effort has set my entire life. Even today, after all these years, I'm benefiting from this first 2 months of concentration. That's why we're really focused and concentrated into this 90-day program, and we encourage you to do that. That's why this environment was created. And folks, listen, we understand that you may not be able to do the same effort all the time, but what we're asking is pick one day this week, one day, 24 hours, and well, 12 hours. Common sense, where you might be sleeping about 8 or 7 hours of that. You understand what I mean? Within the 24 hours, 100% effort just in building your Max business. See what happens. I challenge you. In fact, it's one of the assignment that we suggest for you today. And the thing is that, distractions are all equal. It doesn't matter what they are. That's the expression where I'm in the North Pole. Remember, I think we had the discussion. Anne might have done it, or what might have talked about, or Dr. Izzy or Tammy. We talked about negotiating. But in the next 90 days, you're in the North Pole, and we're going to be concentrated on building this business so we can set results for the rest of our lives. Remember, if you did not have that conversation with your loved ones and the people around you, make sure that you do. Because if they understand why you're doing this and you make them part as to why you're doing this, and every time you get a bit of results and income comes in, your check is increasing, money's coming in, take a little bit of that money and spend it on your family members. Spend it, go buy some ice cream or take them out for a nice meal or do something special just to show them that it's worth it. It's worth it. Mommy or daddy is doing this for our future. So I don't want to go back there, but again, it's to understand that there will be many distraction, and it's very it's I don't know if you, but since we started a 90-day program, it's crazy how much distraction Tammy and I get. It's unbelievable that suddenly, right now, the entire world needs us. It's just the way the world works. But we work around it and we dedicate a certain amount of time concentrating and building our max business. Okay, so all distractions are equal. It doesn't matter what they are. And I understand sometimes it's really important. But again, negotiate this time and dedicate that time in building your business. So pick one day, and concentrate 100% in building your business. So, one of the things that I can maybe help you on how to repair issues with associates and people that you might have kind of came across where maybe things didn't go so well in your approach. Maybe even someone in your downline that maybe you had a bit of a rough patch, and that's the reason why they stopped working the business. Um, I'm telling you that humility, empathy, some of you maybe have seen a video I've done on that. It might have been on my personal page on Facebook, but the point is, I talked about being empathetic, understanding how they feel before wanting to be understood. That is a powerful, powerful tool. But the one thing here is the very first thing, if someone does not want to talk about the business or they don't want to kind of work with you because something happened, just be empathetic and apologize for maybe something you might have said or something you might have done. You have no idea. In fact, maybe you do on how far this would go. If you're talking to a prospect, okay, let's use this example. Simply disqualify the fact that, you know what, John or Mary, I understand that this is not for you. I truly, truly believe that this is something that I think can change my life. And I thought maybe it could affect yours, but I understand where you come from. And as I said earlier, just mention that your relationship with them is way more important than this opportunity. Just disqualify them. Okay. So that's what I mean by, address the elephant in the room. Just bring it up. Talk about it. Okay. And then do the apologies. Really important. Okay. And then again, tell them that the relationship is way more important to you than the actual opportunity itself. Right. And one thing that you can do is listen, John, Mary, again, based on their status, social status, you might have an enormous amount of respect for them based on what they've accomplished, what they've done. Use your common sense on that. But one thing you can do is, you know what I would love, if that's okay with you, again, depending on the relationship we have that person, is I'd love to ask for your support. Sometimes I get distracted, sometimes I get a little bit discouraged. And if you see that this is happening, kick me in the ass. Excuse me the expression, but give me a little boost and just remind me why I'm doing this. I know that may sound silly sometimes as I'm telling you this, but for some of you, it may fit. You may actually create an accountability partner, and I'll be happy, you know what I mean, to kick you in the behind a little bit to remind you of what you're trying to do. And you know what? They might be inspired by the results that you're going to get if they follow your progress. You understand? So, and again, just ask them if it's okay. If it's okay for you to support me, I would really, 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 really appreciate that. So again, these are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you that was shared yesterday. I know Tammy is going to come back tomorrow. It's going to be sharing also her points on day 10, which is going to be happening today. And again, we really want to thank you for staying the course. And the one thing, folks, and I know you've heard me say that often: stay the course. Don't get discouraged. It's amazing how sometimes things may seem impossible to us right now based on our vision on how we see things. But I'm telling you, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The sun will always, always rise. There's something every night I go to bed and I ask God, please give me the wisdom. Give me the wisdom to say what I need to share to inspire my team. Or I wake up in the morning and say, God, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful life that we have. And I keep asking, please give me the wisdom. Give me the power to be able to inspire someone else, to impact their lives. And we've been very, very blessed on how many lives that we've impacted. And we want that for you. So stay the course. Don't get discouraged, and come back regularly to these sessions. Listen to what the leaders are sharing with you. Pay attention to the things that they say. Attend the virtual presentations that are taking place. And don't come alone. Bring guests to listen. As I always say, if you come alone, you learn. But if you come with a guest, you earn while you learn. So, Lutz, it's thank you for always showing your gratitude, and I really really appreciate you. And I know that some of you are going to see this session after it's done. I want to thank you in advance for coming in and sharing your feedback and comment. You have no idea; it means a lot to us. Okay, so everybody, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I hope that this information was helpful and useful to you.